Bear Grylls Adventures, the Volcano Challenge. 6. See, hear, smell, touch, taste. The water that Bear handed Charlie tastes better than any drink he ever had. He had no idea he was so thirsty. We'll get down into the lava plain and then keep going for a couple of hours before we stop again, Bear said. How do you feel about putting some distance between us and the volcano? Charlie wiped his mouth and gave a big thumbs up. The giant column of smoke looked a little bit thinner, but it still reached right up to the top of the sky. Charlie liked the idea of getting out of range. They set off down the slope toward the level ground that spread out below. It was a massive stretch of cold lava, completely covered with curving, swirling lines. Charlie thought it looked like a close-up of giant fingerprints, but it reminds him of something else as well. It's like the moon, Charlie said. You're right, Sport. It's exactly there shouldn't be, Bear said. But remember, all this was molten lava once. It might still be hot under the surface, but when the lava cools, it forms a solid crust on top. But if the crust gets too thin, our feet could go right through. Charlie went, ouch. Big ouch, said Bear, reaching into his rucksack. So if we use this, Bear pulled out a fancy walking stick that spanned like a telescope. Charlie looked confused. What use was a single stick against a molten lava? We used it to test each step, said Bear, tapping the ground. Charlie swallowed. The idea of falling into molten lava was scary. I'll walk where you walk. He started out slowly. Bear was careful to test the ground in front of him with the stick, only stepping forward into a new bit of lava once he was sure that it would hold his weight. Charlie was sure that he could feel the ground was hotter in some place. He was tempted to worry about how thin the crust might be getting. He remembered Bear's first advice. Survival starts with telling yourself that you can do it. Charlie stopped himself from thinking about wherever the ground was hollow. Instead, he put his mind on following exactly where Bear walked. As they walked, the cold lava got darker and rougher. The heat that Charlie thought he could feel through his boot were no longer there. Finally, once Bear was sure the lava was thick enough, they could walk side by side. Instead, he put his mind on following exactly where Bear walked. As they went on, the cold lava got darker and rougher. The heat that Charlie thought he could feel through his boot were no longer there. Finally, once Bear was sure the lava was thick enough, they could walk side by side. Charlie kept an eye on the compass to make sure they headed due south. In mid-quest, you always knew which way you were heading because there were rotating compass icon on the screen. Out here, it wasn't so simple, but it occurred to Charlie he didn't have to keep checking the compass. Surely he could pick a landmark in the right direction and head for that. He fixed his eye on a hill in the distance. It wasn't a big one. In fact, it was more like a bigger than the usual bump in the lava, but it was in the right direction. So that's where he would make sure they headed. Charlie's eyes were dry. He blinked and he looked again. He had lost his landmark, and there were several big bumps, and they all looked the same. Was it that one or that one? Charlie sighed and checked the compass. Are you okay? Bear gave them a questioning look. I lost my landmark, Charlie explained. It looks so similar out here. True, but remember, a landmark could be in any direction. You don't have to be heading towards it. It took Charlie a moment to work out what he meant. All right. He looked around, scanning the horizon. There was a load of bumps and rocks. He kept turning. Everything looks the same. Except the one absolutely massive landmark that they can never lose. If we keep the volcano behind us, he said, we'll always know we're heading right away from it. You got it, Charlie. Well done. But we need to keep checking our course constantly. Can I show you a useful trick? Bear picked up 10 small pebbles and tipped them into Charlie's cupped hand. Say, if we want to check our course every 500 paces, Bear said, problem is it is easy to lose count with big numbers, especially if you had to concentrate on where to put your feet and if you're getting tired. Right, Charlie agreed. Using the pebbles helped you keep track, Bear went on. Put them all in one pocket. Every 50 paces, you move one pebble to your other pocket. That way you don't have to count to 50, not 500. When you move all 10 pebbles over, that's 500 paces. So you can check our direction. They walked side by side across the cold lava. Charlie navigated using Bear's pebble trick. Counting up to 50 10 times was much easier than counting up to 500. Every time Charlie moved the pebble over, he took a quick look to check that the volcano was directly behind them. Then every 100 paces, Charlie got a real sense of abandonment, and he checked their direction on the compass. It wasn't a flashy trick or anything amazing, but breaking through the journey was like this seemed to work. He was feeling confident again. They were going to be off this mountain in no time. The endless gray landscape seemed to go on for miles. But just when Charlie was about to stop and check his compass for the 10th time, he saw a flash of color nearby. It wasn't much, it was just a speck of green. But when he got closer, he saw that it was a tiny plant pushing it away out of the lava, one leaf at a time. Nature's full of tough survivors, said Bear. Even in the harshest landscape, you can see the most beautiful thing. After that, Bear started to see color everywhere. Bear pointed out to the streak in the rock of different minerals. There's insects too, and more plants. Charlie was amazed. There was stuff out here that can never get on this tablet screen. And on the screen, if you zoom in far enough, everything went fuzzy. But out here, the closer you zoom, the more fantastic detail you saw. Suddenly, Bear stopped. He seemed to be listening for something. After a moment, Charlie could hear it too. It was like the groan they heard beneath the glacier, only this was way louder. It reached inside his ears and went all the way down through the soles of his boot. It was the deepest rumble he ever heard, and it was getting louder. Uh-oh, Bear said, turning to look back at the volcano. The smoke column was got even smaller. Isn't it going down? Charlie asked. Yes, but not in a good way, said Bear. A smoke means there's a blockage somewhere. That noise we can hear means that's something it's about to. Just then the top of the volcano exploded with a boom so loud that it shook Charlie's inside. Blow, Bear shouted. Thanks for watching. Bye.